is that so I saw this. I haven't read this yet. I read a little bit of it, but I don't know the exact thing. But there's a new bill in Tennessee now that apparently is going to basically just deputize gun owners for like if they take a test. Like they can just take a test and they're basically like, they're just like, yeah. So I covered a story earlier in the show of another police shooting. And every time I talk about when police murder someone, I like to ask an example. If I go to Bojangles with my AR-15 and just start to shoot people, right, and then claim, oh, well, they were running away from me, I'm gonna go to jail immediately, right? Like, I'm gonna go to jail immediately, right? But if you're a cop, oh, they're running away from me, all of a sudden, that's a justified shooting. They were running away from me. Like, was I supposed to let them run away? I had to kill them, right? So, and now we're seeing in Tennessee where they're just trying to give every random gun owner that kind of power. So I'm gonna read this a little bit, and then I'll see what you think. Legislation introduced in the Texas state legislature this month is raising alarms from the state's police union and gun control advocates who say it would turn the streets into the Old West. Two bills in the state assembly and state senate, HB 254 and SB 2523, would amend Tennessee law and designate a person who has been issued an enhanced handgun carry permit as a member of law enforcement. Now, law enforcement, as it is like, there's like the databases need to be publicized. There's not enough accountability, right? A lot of things are enshrouded in mystery. But if you just give random people the ability to be law enforcement there's no public database at all, right? Like, what do you think about this?
Well, there's no way that this can't end well. And by the way, going back to saying like, we're gonna deputize random people. Just give randos guns. Like that's the Old West. Actually, the Old West actually had more gun control than apparently Texas does. That's true, and that's like, yeah, and so that's what the shootouts were about. Like, hey, you need to surrender your gun before you come into town. Oh, you're not gonna take my gun, you not dead body. All right, well, let's have a duel then. The sheriff's gonna shoot you.
And like, so if you're law enforcement though, like, and you're just some random guy, does that mean you get to use probable cause? Right? Like, what does that mean? Like, oh, someone looked at me funny, so I shot them. Well, probable cause. They had their hand in their pocket. Like what exactly? Like, if they have all
we know what this is about. We know what this is about, though. Officer, you don't understand. He's black. Had to shoot him.
Exactly. And this is in Tennessee, right? Like this is like one of those like right wing states where you have like all the and all like this is why I advocate like if we're living in this country and all the right wingers have guns, I advocate to at least know how to use a gun if you're on the left because it's just just there's so many guns everywhere. Maybe you don't need to own one, but like practice shooting maybe because you never know with the amount of crazy motherfuckers out there what's going to happen. But again, like everyone has guns and like it's the right wing culture. You see like Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene, they're taking like family photos where their 5-year-olds are holding like machine guns. They're right. And this is like this big thing. And now like what if we give all of our buddies deputy status and they can basically kill anyone they want. And then they've got qualified immunity. Now, again, if you're a left winger, right. And you have this like this whatever it is, right. Are you going to get that same protection or are they going to find like a loophole for that? Like, are you like, oh, no, I'm an enhanced handgun owner, so I just killed that neo-Nazi at the rally. I'm sorry. Well, they looked at me funny. Is that going to be judged in the same way than if it's the neo-Nazi at the Black Lives Matter rally, right? And this is just another thing that gives judges more power because at the end of the day, enforcement is the only thing that matters. The laws are just suggestions, right? You see this case in Florida. I don't know if you've heard of, I believe his name is Daniel Baker, the anarchist who posted on Facebook, Yep. We need to defend ourselves if they're going to start storming our capitals and got like 5 years in prison, right? And like, that's more than most of the January 6th insurrectionists, right? And he didn't even do anything. He just posted on Facebook, hey, maybe we should have guns too, you think? And again, it's the unequal enforcement of the vague words that give judges all the power in the world. These Trump-appointed judges, these right-wing douchebag judges. And again, they're going to be the ones making these decisions. So whenever, like, a lot of people like to discuss these bills and like the whole, like, well, what if it's the left that does this? But it doesn't matter if it's the left that does this because the left will always lose. The right is in control of everything and the left will always lose.
Yeah, look, you're absolutely right. I forget about I forget what his name was, but there was another left winger who was shot and killed by police for having a gun. So at a protest, and so it was one of those things where the Second Amendment doesn't apply to the left. Unfortunately, we're in that situation. We're in that world where you have all the cops that are right wingers, and then you have all
voted
the
for Donald Trump in 2020. 80%.
Yeah.
Also, 40% beat their wives.
Yeah, and a lot of the not surprising, and a lot of the gun owners are right. I'm not saying them, they're all right wing because again, there are lefty gun owners as well. But you have a massive majority of gun owners that happen to be right wing, along with the cops. And so when you have that situation, and you see it all the time, by the way, when you have armed black men, for example, Philando Castile is the best example that you can come up with. Legally armed black man gunned down in his car by a white cop. He did not have Second Amendment protection.
He told the cop, by the way, he did every step perfectly. And was still murdered for no reason. Yep. It's incredible. And again, you see a lot of these cops are hired right out of high school. They have no social skills. They're weirdo loser nerds, right? Mm-hmm. And they don't know how to communicate with people. And then they also come from these a lot of the cops that patrol these big cities and stuff come from rural areas where they went to a school that's 80% white, and then they go into a city, right, that is a lot more diverse, and they don't know they have no experience with people that aren't white, so they're just scared of the black people. And it's incredibly it's just and this is the system. This is fine for people. I want to read this little quote here more about this bill. As introduced, expands the definition of law enforcement officer to include a person who has been issued an enhanced handgun carry permit, provided that the permit is not suspended, revoked, or expired for purposes of authority to carry a firearm under certain circumstances. The summary for the bill reads on the blah, blah, blah. There are currently 686,348 active enhanced handgun carry permits. So, that's just a way, and it's also a way to not pay them, too. That's another thing. How can we get more racist cops to kill a bunch of black people for fun and then not have to pay them? Right? Because we already saw that Biden has 3x'd police funding. What the? Right? The party of defund the police, according to the right, 3x police funding, but okay. Right? But that's not enough. They want even more cops with less regulations, less oversight, and it's just, it's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's hurting us towards the police state. Or, well, look, you could already say we already live in a police state. And it's a right-wing police state.
Absolutely.
Where they have, and of course, where you have the government that does have spying powers, and they're more than happy to spy in on and crush, left-wing protests. And it's funny because you can really make a parallel to the trucker thing that's going on in Canada, or any of the right-wing protests that happen here in America, where you have right-wingers that their protests, nobody none of the cops the cops support these right-wingers, and they're on their side and allow them to do these things. But when it comes to water protectors that are protecting against these drilling companies that are destroying indigenous land, they'll crush them. And so I always get frustrated when you have people that are lefties or supposedly on the left that are no, the trucker convoy, we need to protect them because what if they come after the left? Where have you been? They've been coming after the left the whole time, and you know who has not been on our side, who has not defended us at all? The right wing. The right wing that some of these people say we should be friends with, we should ally with, we should stand in solidarity with the right.
We could do a whole nother segment on the trucker convoy if you want, because I have a lot to say on those dumb motherfuckers. But yeah, this Tennessee bill, no good. In summary, no good. In fact, I would even go as far as to say it's really bad. So I'm going to go with that.